Imagine having your own private lightning fast VPN with no monthly fee and no third party involved. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up WireGuard VPN with and without Traefik. So whether you are a beginner or you're already rocking a self-hosting setup, this guide will make it simple and powerful. If you're ready to take your privacy to the next level, let's dive in. Welcome everyone. This is the second episode that I'm creating on the self-hosting series. So in this one, we're going over the WireGuard setup. And as always, I'll demo first so you kind of know and expect or like set your expectation basically. And then I'm gonna show you how things works. So just behind my picture, I'm gonna just make myself smaller, put it in a corner. So on the right side, I have UX Play to basically show my iPhone, and you can see that I have opened up a WireGuard app, and you can download it as well. And I'm just airplaying, basically running a AirPlay server on my computer, so I can show the screen and show you how it works. On the top left corner, we have the browser. I have set up my WireGuard dashboard on wg.localhost. I don't want to make it public. I had make it public. Actually, in the previous video, you could see I could access it using a subdomain of my domain codevoyage.com. And but anyway, so it's up to you. And this is also by the Traefik, and I'm going to show you also how it would be without Traefik, which is basically just accessing 0.0, probably like the local host on a specific port. But anyway, we'll get to that. It's pretty much similar. It's just the address would be different. I'm going to get the password for the dashboard, and I'm gonna log in. I'm gonna tell you how to do it. I have already created one client. I can create a new one. Friend number one. Okay, I'll create it, and it will dedicate basically an IP over a NAT network. So it creates a network inside, and then it will dedicate one IP to each. And this is just like a virtual network IP. And if I click on the QR code and I open up my phone and then hit plus on the top right corner, so I'm going to tap it and I'm going to say create from QR code, select the second one, and you can see if I scan this, it would say, okay, tell me a name for it. I'm going to say my server. All right, and I'm going to save it. All right, we're back. So now my server is created. I can go inside, see the connections, and I can see the address is the same. That it's been dedicated here, and yeah, and so on and so on. Right? You can say allowed IP. You can say if you have a specific IP to dedicate over it. It shows the endpoints and so on. We'll get to that. I just wanted a demo, right? So I'm gonna turn it on. The VPN is connected, and yeah, that's about it. So you can see the VPN is on. So I'm going to maximize this for now, and then we're going over the WG Easy repository. So if you type github.com wg-easy/wg-easy, you'll get to the repository. I'm going to also link it down below so you can find it. And there's a great explanation and documentation telling you about each and every different part of this, different parameters and everything. But since we are going to run it on the Docker, we are going to go to the Docker Compose YAML file. And then here's the file we're going to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy it. So I'm going to create a directory, call it WG Easy, and I'm going to say local because this one is not going to be behind the traffic. So I'm going to create a file, say docker compose YML. Just making sure I typed everything correct. I'm going to paste it here, and here we're going to check things out, right? So we can define language. I'm just going to get rid of comments after we read them. So this is the host that we want to put our WireGuard on. So this one is kind of designed for if you want to run it on a Raspberry Pi. You can definitely do that if you want. You can create a local virtual host as well. So you can just go to etc hosts, edit that file, and add any sorts of host that you want. For now, I'm just going to put it on 127.0.0.1, which is the local host address. And then there is an optional password hash, which it tells us how to generate a bcrypt hash MD file. There is this markdown which tells us how to create it, and we are going to check that out as well. Yeah, bcrypt is a famous library for creating hashes, and it has a generation function, it has a verification function, and we're going to use that to create a hash password. So I'm going to get this out of the comment form, and I'm going to delete this part. Just keep this. And in order to create it, we are going back to the Docker, to the GitHub repository, and then going through the markdown that they already told us about. So there is this Docker run, and then removes it after it runs with the name, with the image tag this, and then there's a function that it's being called, or actually it's a bash script if I'm not mistaken. And then we are giving our password, and then we're going to use it. So let's give that a try, right? So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna open my terminal here, and then maybe make it a little bit bigger. All right. And let's clear out. I need a sudo for my Docker, so I'm going to use that. And then for a password, I'm going to just say, we're just trying things out, right? This is not a safe password. My passwords are usually more than 20 characters with number, symbols, small letters, capital letters, and all those things, which gets created by passwordstore.org. I highly recommend them. It's amazing. It's been years that I'm using it, and I'm super happy with it. And it's very good integrated with iOS and Android apps. Anyway, moving on. So for this one, I'm just going to use a simple one. We are just trying things out, right? We don't want to make it complicated right now. So I'm going to say pass123, which is one of the most common and ironic passwords. So I'm going to give this in, and then it's going to run. It's going to produce this hash for me. I'm going to copy the hash inside a single quote. Control-Shift-C for the terminal, by the way, if you want to copy paste it. And then we're going back here. So that's the catch. So if you want to paste it here, which is not recommended, if you want to do it here, you need to change all the dollar signs to a double dollar signs. It has been mentioned in the comments actually here. So need double dollar sign hash for all the single dollar sign. So we need to change that. So if I want to use it here, and I'm going to paste it now, and then for every single dollar sign, I'm going to write a $2 sign. But if we decide to put it in a new environment, that's env, and write like a password hash equal, and then paste it. We can paste it as is, not changing any single dollar sign to a double dollar sign. And then we can, since they are in the same directory, we can read this value from the environment file. And we can just type $ brackets and say, actually it was password hash, yeah. So read that key value, so it will receive the yeah, key value basically, yeah. So yeah, in this way, if so, that's the catch. If you are saving it in .env file, don't change anything in your hash. If you are saving it directly in your compose file, which I personally don't recommend, you need to change every single $sign to a double $sign. And for the next two, I'm gonna uncomment them. The port one, the port alone is basically your dashboard port, and WG port is the WireGuard endpoint itself. So we are going to change that. Yeah, and then moving forward, we don't need rest of these things. We can edit, of course, if we want to. We can say what will be the NAT subnet, when would our IP starts from, our client's IP basically, or what would be the default DNS, and so on and so on. And there are like so many other configuration which we can dive deep, but we don't want to make it complicated as of now. And here the Docker image is being mentioned. Docker container, we're going to call it WG Easy. I actually want to change this port as well. So because I'm already running a WireGuard, which I just showed you, I don't want to I don't want to have a conflict in the ports and basically make them work fine. So instead of 1 and 0, or actually I can just make them 31 and 30, and also I also need to change them here. So if you hold Alt, you can select multiple places and just edit them all at once. There's a volume attached, so if you want to add or remove any files and be able to access them inside the Docker container, we can attach a volume. We're not going to use the volume right now, but we can leave them on or remove them. I'm just going to leave them on as of now. There are two ports that they are basically getting exposed by our Docker container. So that's the thing. We need to make sure these two ports are open on our router. Here it depends. So if you are getting a VM, a virtual machine from Amazon or Google or somewhere, and then usually you can there's no firewall per se to prevent you from opening these, and you can just use them right out of the bat. But if you are hosting on your own machine, you're self-hosting with your and you're receiving your IP address by your ISP, and you're kind of using a DDNS, like the last video that I show you how to set up your dynamic DNS. You need to make sure you are opening these ports up at your router, and this could be different router by router, but you basically need to log into your router as an admin, and there's a port forwarding section. You just need to make sure that these ports are being forwarded to your machine. Next, we have restart. So we say unless I stop it manually, it gets restart. So if my computer is also restarted, the container going to get restarted. And then there are two capabilities that we are adding as a net admin and sys module. These capabilities need to be added for the WireGuard to be able to function properly. And then there are two system calls which we are setting, and these are just boilerplate we are following. The IP forwarding needs to be on, and then this one checks for some config validation from the source, and yeah, these two needs to be turned on. We just need to bring them here. So now if I move to that directory, and it was yeah, local, if I check, there's a Docker compose file, and I just need to run sudo docker compose up, which bring it up. If you use -d, it would detach it. So I don't want to detach it right now. I want to see what is happening. Like for example, this error. So I want to see if it didn't work, why it didn't work. But at the end, if everything worked out, you can just add a -d at the end. So docker compose, sudo docker compose up -d to detach it. So it's getting detached from your terminal. Yeah. Anyway, so the problem is, since I already have a WireGuard running with the same name, that's a conflict here. So I'm going to add a local to this as well. And the container name also needs to be changed. All right, try again. Setting up, it's up. The port is running on 00 and the port 51831. The password we choose was pass123. So I'm going to log in, and you see that's it's an empty dashboard, and I can create new accounts, new clients, and so on. Right? Here we go. So this is how you do it without Traefik. And now let's take a look. And after I stop it, I also always do docker compose down to make sure if there is any network created, remove that network. Also, which you see that removing network default. Yeah. Anyway, so if you have set up Traefik, which I've already explained in the previous episode, episode 1, which is basically the foundation of the self-hosting and where we can start the self-hosting, you need to set your domain, dynamic DNS, so that we know if your IP has changed, your domain should know about it. So whenever we are working with the domain, we need to know what's the actual real IP behind it. So we need these two to be set, and then we need to set them using Traefik, and Traefik is the reverse proxy sitting in front, listening to different calls and know where to handle them. Just a very, very brief and oversimplification of how what was the first episode about. Anyway, so if you are interested, I highly recommend watch the first episode. And I've already have boilerplates uploaded into the GitHub. So yeah, you can access them in the comment of that video. Also, I will put these codes into comment down below here in the description, actually. Anyway, moving forward. So here, I want to set it up with the Traefik. And I've put a couple of things into the env file. So we have the host, which previously was my domain. Now it's just a local host. So this one is basically the value for the WireGuard host. I can show you, so you can either host it online, so you can access it wherever you are. But I want to only be able to access this when I'm at my computer and I want to access it locally. The dashboard, I mean, not the VPN itself. I can access the VPN. If I have set it up on my phone, I can access it wherever with any IP. But for dashboard itself, I want to make sure I want to access it only local. So that's why these parts are commented, and we're going to get to that. So if you put a local host here as our WireGuard host, and we have seen how to work with the passport hash. The port is the dashboard port. The WireGuard port is the WireGuard endpoint where your VPN starts initiating from. The image is the same. The container name is whatever you like to put it on. And there's a volume attached, talked about it. Here you see that only one of the ports is exposed, and that one port is the WireGuard endpoint port. It's where WireGuards will start the secure connection initiation. So that one needs to be exposed for sure, and also you need to make it exposed and make it open on your router as well. So this is super important. You have to log into your router and make sure that port is being forwarded to your machine, so it's open. I have defined a network called frontend, And it's easy to create a network, so you can just say sudo docker network create, and then give it a name. So new network name here, and then a network will be created, and then you can remove the network if you want with, is it remove or RM? It's usually RM. Yeah, and it will remove the network like this. So I created manually a network, and then I attached it here. And also I defined a network here. So I said network name front end is external. So don't start creating it yourself. It's already created, just use it. The restart component already talked about. So unless you stop it, it's going to keep getting restarted, even if your machine gets restarted. And then these two capabilities, which the WireGuard needs, so netadmin, sysmodule, and then the system calls that we need to make for IP forwarding and checking the config files. Here's the interesting part. So this is the integration with the Traefik. So here we say Traefik enable true, enable the Traefik for it. And again, if you don't know what Traefik is, I highly recommend a previous episode. Traefik HTTP routes. So we define a new HTTP routes for it. WireGuard easy.-http is the route name. And then we define a rule for it, which the rule is defining the host. We are saying that the subdomain WG for the local host is where we want to access that. And we also want to set up a load balancer for the server and say if this port is forwarded. So basically, we will not expose it here. We will just say this is the entry point for the WG localhost. So we say if this port, basically if this one is requested, or if someone or a user tried to get into wg.localhost, this is the ports you need to forward it to. And yeah, that's basically it. If you want to do it on a local host. So if you want to do it on, I think I should have made it a little bit bigger. All right. So if you want to expose it on your domain, your custom domain you have set up, here's the part we need to enable. We need to make sure it's on. So this one would be the same. So Traefik enable true. These parts will be commented out, and these parts will be uncommented. Okay, so the host will change for sure because it's not localhost anymore. We're gonna have our domain set here. Also, in the parentheses, we need to make sure wg.codevoyage, our domain, is set in our dynamic DNS setup. Yeah, so you can see here that wg.codevoyage.com is set. It's basically the same domain, but this record, this DNS record, a record, needs to be set. Why do we need to set this? That's the important part. So we need to set this because we want to set up HTTPS, and we want to basically ask for Let's Encrypt to give us a new SSL TLS certificate, so makes our website secure. So we will enable the endpoint web for it, which is the HTTP alone on port 80. And then we would say we need to redirect it. We use a middleware called redirect scheme. We will redirect it to the HTTPS, and the route for the middleware will be the redirect. This is how we can read it. So if someone tried to access the port 80 on HTTP, it automatically redirects it to HTTPS. And then the HTTPS domain and subdomain is the same. The endpoint is web secure, which is the HTTPS port 443. And then we say TLS true. When we say TLS true and we say the TLS cert resolver is Cloudflare, Cloudflare automatically will try to fetch SSL TLS certificate for us for this specific domain. And again, here we just say that if we try to access WG code our domain, forward that over the port 51821. If we don't mention this, we need to manually put this at the end, so we basically connect to that port. But Traefik will take care of it for us. So that's the main difference when we want to use Traefik instead of hosting it. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you have any idea how can I make it even more secure or how can I make it better, make sure you comment me down below. You can access my Twitter, nulljuju.dev. Yeah, I have also set up a new Discord link. I know that the previous one got expired. So yeah, make sure you get in contact with me. Tell me what you think about the video. How can we make things better? If you have any idea of self-hosting, like what kind of things you want to self-host, let me know. I have a couple of projects ahead. One is Obsidian Live Sync server, and the other one is a Minecraft server. So I'm gonna get into those. There are just so many self-hosting we can do. And I'm super excited to continue in this series. Not going to take much of your time anymore. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment and share with your friends, whoever might like self-hosting. Yeah, hope to see you again in another video. Take care. Have fun. Bye.